Welcome, it's Denome, and welcome to this crypto update. A lot has happened since my previous video, and in this video, we'll unpack everything that has happened. We will look at the technical analysis, the fundamental analysis to basically determine where the price will go next. But before we do all of that, let's actually talk about the most major news and updates that have happened since my previous update. In my previous update, I told you guys that the WLFI token, which is Donald Trump's DeFi project, it will probably launch very, very soon, maybe even on July 4th. And I was very close, but it did not actually launch. What happened is there was a proposal to make WLFI token actually tradable. So let's actually take a look at this proposal here, because this is bringing new capital to crypto, and it will also release capital in crypto once these tokens become tradable and traders can finally exit their positions that they locked in here, because 85,000 people participated in the WLFI pre-sale. So this is a significant event, and right now the token, the pre-market for this token is already trading over 10x its pre-sale price, which seems to be a success. It already doubled since my previous update as well. So let's actually take a look at this proposal here. What is going to happen? So here you can see WLFI will become transferable, and it will move from a closed system to open participation with the token holders. Token will have more utility, and this will unlock the next phase of community ownership and engagement. There will be long-term token incentives, which could mean yield farming or air farming with protocol adoption and success, maybe even some WLFI staking. And a portion of WLFI supply was sold to early supporters. A portion of those sold tokens will become unlocked once this actually passes and the time comes to release the tokens. So maybe 20% of the supply will initially be tradable. That remains to be seen. And the remainder of the tokens will be subject to a second vote by the community to determine the unlock and release schedule. So if you were a pre-sale buyer, then you're looking to get two unlocks. First initial batch you get immediately, and the second one maybe sometime down the line. So you will be exposed to long-term exposure anyway, even if you were a pre-sale buyer and you're looking to get a quick exit. Now, the founder, the team, and the advisor tokens will not be unlocked initially. So this is something I'm very happy to see, because I've been talking about how the Trump family are grifters, and most likely this is another pump and dump. So what I suspect they have done is they have actually bought the pre-sale themselves as well, and they will be dumping those tokens. But the founder, team, and advisory tokens will be unlocked sometime down the line, and that is basically to be determined later down the line when they will get their tokens unlocked. So overall, this is pretty positive so far. I'm quite happy that they are doing something like this, and they're thinking about the long-term success here, at least on paper. So that's what I would like to see. And obviously the token, the pre-market was pumping after this news here. Now, this is just something that's going on. The forum here is extremely active, as you can see. A lot of people are asking, when will the supply release? When can we sell it? When can we trade it? But there's currently no timeline for that. So I don't know exactly when it will go live. Maybe it will come live this month, which I hope it will, but that basically remains to be seen. But right now, there's no schedule, and the vote is I don't even know if the vote is live or this is simply the proposal as of now, because there's, as you can see, there's basically no deadline here at all. So that's basically it. Now let's actually continue here. There was a dispute obviously between Trump and Elon Musk, and Elon Musk has now confirmed that he will launch the America Party. And the reason why I'm talking about this is I don't really care about this America Party. I don't think it will be that significant. But here is something worth mentioning. Will America Party embrace Bitcoin? And Elon Musk confirms fiat is hopeless. So yes. So the America Party will support Bitcoin. So obviously that is good news for crypto holders and people who want to speculate on the price. And then let's get to the geopolitical news. New development bank has added Colombia and Uzbekistan as new official partners, and this comes after the BRICS summit. So in Brazil, there was the BRICS summit that ended on Sunday. And in the BRICS summit, I will make a separate video about it because they released a 126 point declaration after the summit, basically outlaying their plan for BRICS, for China, for Russia, and all these countries. And this new development bank was just 1 point on their 26 point list. And this new development bank, it previously included Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, Bangladesh, United Arab Emirates, Egypt, Algeria, Colombia, and Uzbekistan now have joined the party as well. So what will new development bank do? We have been talking about the BRICS pay system, maybe BRICS currency, but it seems like they have scratched that idea. Instead, new development bank will be the new bank for settling transactions, which will give all of these countries basically sanction proof. So the Western powers cannot sanction these banks as long as they trade within the new development bank, which is owned by China. So that gives them protection. It gives them easier access to each other's economies as well. So this is a major move from the world, basically against the Western world, and that basically undermines the currencies of euro, and it undermines the currency of dollar, which basically pumps Bitcoin speculation higher as well. So that was the major news here. Now, I will make a separate video about the BRICS summit here. So watch out for that video later down this week. Putin did not join in physically. Also, Xi Jinping didn't join there physically because Putin didn't go, Xi didn't go, and obviously Putin cannot go because he would have to fly basically through Europe or through America, and the plane could get intercepted. So he joined there virtually. But in the recent weeks, I saw people basically saying that India is now looking to turn its back against Russia and against China, and India will basically pivot towards the West. And that doesn't seem to be the case because India is the new chair country for BRICS for 2026. So there's no reason for India to actually back out of this deal here. And here you can see the Prime Minister of India, Modi, was participating in the event as well. So that's just a brief update. I'll give you the full list of the updates because after this news broke out, Donald Trump came out and basically said that he will issue an additional 10% tariff against BRICS countries because of their new partnerships. So I now understand, after reading the 126-point plan, I understand Trump, where he's coming from. And I can say I'm a little bit scared of that 126-point plan as well. So that's why I will make another video about it. But anyway, that's what happened there. Some trade wars going on that front. Also, El Salvador is set to build a 70-story high building basically for Tether USDT. And that is quite interesting. Usually we see these kind of developments at the height of a bull market. So that's why I included it in this video. In the last bull market, what we saw was Crypto.com decided to buy a stadium. Was it an ice hockey stadium or something like that, which is now called the Crypto.com Arena or something similar. So that basically happened at the height of the bull market. Now USDT is building a 70-story building in San Salvador, in El Salvador. So that's interesting. I don't know if this is the top signal or not, but as you can see, all of the other buildings in the area are quite small in comparison to the new Tether building. So at least that's pretty funny. Then EU is running a crisis management plan right now. They came against stablecoins, and now they are decided to stockpile critical minerals amid geopolitical risks. So they will go ahead to the market and try to buy as many minerals as possible. So if you want to diversify outside crypto, maybe consider getting some silver, which is still a little bit undervalued compared to gold. You can still get gold or some other minerals. I saw uranium going up in price already. So just a heads up for you guys who want to diversify outside of crypto, that once countries start to basically compete for minerals, the prices can skyrocket quite fast. And then once the stockpiles are full, suddenly the demand basically stops, and then the prices basically fall. So you could see a quick moves in the mineral market if they already didn't happen. I'm not a professional in the minerals market, but I thought this was interesting. But what this also means is basically undermining the value of their currencies, because obviously they don't have capital, they have to print it out of thin air to basically buy these minerals. So that is in a weird way good for Bitcoin as well. And regarding Bitcoin, Ethiopia came out and said that they made $200 million basically from selling electricity to crypto miners. So what has happened in Ethiopia is that previously they were running these uh, these dams, these water electricity facilities, and they were basically not producing any revenue. And what they decided to do from the hydropower is they would sell the unused hydropower to Bitcoin miners. And right now, Ethiopia is producing 2.5% of the global hash rate inside Ethiopia, which is quite nice. And from that electricity sales, they made $250 million $200 million. I think this was in 6 months. So they are raking in huge profits from this deal, and this is further cementing Bitcoin as a valuable asset, because staking does not allow this kind of utility. So this is basically supporting the price of Bitcoin going probably even higher from here. So this is what the investors want. This is what countries want, and this is what obviously taxpayers want as well. So that's very, very good. And talking about Bitcoin hash rate, I do have to mention this is a little bit old news already, but in Iran, when the war broke out, the Bitcoin hash rate actually basically fell down by 30% within one single day. So it dropped from 900 million terahash, almost below $700 million, 700 million terahash hash rate. So that was almost a drop of 30% in one single day. And after that drop, it basically came back up immediately after. And what is interesting in this hash rate here is I had it in some of the here. So this is basically what happened in the hash rate. It was here at 900 million, and then it dropped to 800 million terahash. And it probably dropped a little bit lower within that one day, which is not seen here on the graph. But anyway, it dropped significantly after the war, during the war, and now after the war, you can see that the mining hash rate is basically coming back online. So Iran is supposedly only mining 4% of the global Bitcoin hash rate, but that drop would signal that maybe they were mining much more than that. We don't exactly know. But all in all, what I'm basically getting at is Bitcoin is now becoming the geopolitical neutral currency of the planet. And many countries, they don't talk about it, they don't advertise it, but they are mining Bitcoin. They are making moves on Bitcoin that we simply aren't told about it, or maybe we're losing it on the mix of other political theater that is going on. So that's basically my point here, is that Bitcoin is super popular. Then, yeah, let's talk about Bitcoin purchases. So Metaplanet went ahead in the last week and bought 2,205 Bitcoin worth $240 million. And then Michael Saylor basically came out and hinted that in the last week, during the Independence Week in USA, the strategy did not purchase more Bitcoin because some weeks you just need to hodl. So maybe we will not see a purchase from Sailor this week. That remains to be seen. Then blockchain group from uh, France, they have acquired another 116 Bitcoin, and now they hold a total of 1,904 Bitcoin, which is quite nice. I didn't notice any other purchases, major ones at least, that were publicized since my last update, so these were the ones that I saw. Now, going into fundamentals, last week we saw a lot of inflows into Bitcoin ETFs. I already showed this number in my previous crypto update, so no update on this since that one. Also, going on to sentiment, there was a significant move here on chain on on Bitcoin. I will get to that very very soon. But the supply of Bitcoin on exchanges is not going up. So even though 80,000 Bitcoin were moved last week, that caused a sort of a panic. That none of that has at least yet gone on to exchanges, which is what many people thought. But going down the line here, what is interesting is this spike here. So here you can see that Bitcoin that were held for 14 years, 80,009 Bitcoin were moved last week. Nobody knows who is the owner of those wallets. They are basically from Satoshi era Bitcoin miners. But what I think are the possible scenarios why 80,000 Bitcoin were moved last week. One is that somebody or some group, they got hacked, they got ransomed, there was theft, and somebody was able to access their wallets and basically drain their wallets and put it into their own wallets. That's one scenario. A second scenario is somebody who was holding 80,000 Bitcoin for 14 years. Maybe they bought off a country. So let's say that person is a fugitive from another country and they want to get to a safe haven into another country. They can buy their way in with 80,000 Bitcoin easily. Any country can basically do any kind of diplomatic deal with them with that kind of capital. Most likely, this money is never going to retail exchanges. It's gonna be sold over the counter. But the last option for that capital is it was moved from basically safer wallets. So maybe it went to multi-signature wallets. I don't exactly know what was the move there. As of now, nobody still knows exactly what was the 80,000 Bitcoin, but most likely it's not going to be directly going to create sell pressure on the market. How it could create sell pressure is if it goes to over-the-counter desks and it is sold to them at a discount, and the over-the-counter desks don't have to go to the open market to replenish uh, their holdings to sell to OTC buyers down the line. And that could basically cause neutral buy pressure for Bitcoin. Because when we take a look at the over the counter holdings of Bitcoin, they have been going down over time. So if that money goes to OTC desks, then there might be temporary time when they will not go to the open market to basically replenish their own stockpiles of Bitcoin. So I don't know if you understand the explanation there, but most likely it's not going to cause any sudden shocks in price. And that's witnessed from the Sunday pump that we saw on Bitcoin. So overall, this was scary when it happened, but as of now, it doesn't seem like it's causing any significant instant shocks. So it is not great, obviously, but it's not the worst also. Then looking at the data for short-term fundamentals, Bitcoin liquidation heat map, you can clearly see on the 1-month view, and the same is true for 3-month view. Most of the liquidity here is, let me actually refresh the page, is above the current range anyway. The page is still loading. It's a little bit laggy. Let's actually head over to this other. Uh, okay, now we have an update here. So as you can see, most of the liquidity is above the current price range. So most likely Bitcoin would like to go to this area quite soon. This is where the price is uh, pulled towards. Now you can see that this area here below $103,000, this is also becoming a little bit brighter. So I wouldn't be surprised if we tag those prices as well. We could even go down there maybe midweek this week, and then we go back up afterwards. That is certainly a possibility. And looking at the order book depth, you can see that the sell pressure is basically the same now it was at the end of last week. So the sell pressure basically paused for the weekend, and now that the markets have opened, you can see the sell pressure is basically mounting back up. So there's a negative delta of $200 million more limit sell orders than limit buy orders. And also when we look at the futures market, the futures are a little bit positive, but usually I get a little bit nervous when I see futures markets basically having more limit buy orders than on the spot markets, because the futures markets, they get liquidated, they have stop losses, and they basically lose money easier than the spot market. So if spot markets bet that the markets want to go down, bet that the markets are going down, but futures markets are betting on the upside, most likely the spot markets win, and the people who are now placing their longs on the futures markets, they get liquidated. So this is a warning signal in my books, this contradiction here. Now, going back to the charts here, taking all of this into consideration, before I show the short-term analysis, let me give you a parallel what we have seen previously. So look at this price action here. We got the breakout of the previous structure, but that hasn't been followed with significant volume. It has not been followed up with significant price move to the upside, which I was expecting to see if we had a real breakout. Instead, we are seeing basically this bullshit price action dancing above and below that trend line here. So it's not a decisive breakout. And previously, when you take a look at what happened here, when Bitcoin was trading in March of 2024, 15 months ago, we can basically see the exact same price action. In fact, this price action is so much similar that is almost scary. So you can see this supporting trend line below here, that was supported one time and two time. The same thing is basically going on now. This is the support line, and we haven't had that second bounce of the trend line, the third bounce of the trend line yet. But you can see that here we also had a kind of like a breakout of the previous structure, but then it failed, and then we basically went to the downside here. And that's what I kind of worry at the moment, is that if we do break to the downside here and we go to 100 for $103,000, that would take the price basically below here. This is where the liquidity pocket is, and that's why we are seeing a lot of people basically making their long positions. Their liquidation zone is basically down here. So if Bitcoin would go to this area, then it would be basically a similar playbook what we had here. And that's not the only similarity, because here also we saw that the RSI had these higher lows, and then the RSI actually went below the trend line for a brief period, only to break out and then to basically fall flat down here. And here we see basically the same exact thing. We have this structure on the RSI, and then it got broken to the downside briefly to come back up here. And now if this basically repeats, then we would look for a lower low here on the RSI, and then Bitcoin price could actually go to 90k, and then we could have a bounce from this trend line here, which I think will be respected. So that's kind of the scenario I'm currently a little bit worried for, and that seems to be uh, quite likely to happen as well. Now, I don't know, maybe Trump will get the Bitcoin moving to the upside again, but if we go to that 93k, 91k price range down here, that would be extremely good, because there's a lot of CME gaps that I've shown over the past weeks below these price ranges, stretching all the way to 91k. If we go to 91k here and we fill those CME gaps, then there would be no reason to expect Bitcoin would go any lower than that anymore, because the gaps have been filled. And big money, big hedge funds, they like to play those. Let me actually show you the CME gaps so you can get you can get the reference BTC futures here. So here you can see the CME caps. The lowest one here is $91,500 of $400. So this is the area. We have a couple of these CME caps here. The first one got filled already. The other ones aren't filled yet. So if we go there, that would be obviously quite nice. Now, I know in the previous update I said it's likely we go up, but because we did not have a decisive breakout to the upside, then this is the scenario now that I'm currently a little bit worried for. It's not the end of the day, obviously, but it will give us a very good areas to basically buy into Bitcoin. So keep this in mind. Now, despite me saying that, Bitcoin could as easily just start to break to the upside here, because usually when everybody expects that the price goes down, then the price usually goes to the upside. So it could easily go to the upside as well. And personally, I don't know which way it will go. In the previous update, I said that if you set a stop loss here at $108,000, that will be a good area. But as you can see, we just tagged my stop loss area here as well, and then Bitcoin had a bounce to the upside, so that was a little bit annoying. uh, so I'm not going to give uh, uh, any other ideas for stop losses in this video, but this is basically what I'm currently seeing on the charts. So if we go to 91k, that will be a strong conviction zone for me. This area here is quite iffy, even though we are still trading above this current price range because of the historical similarity we saw before. So if we see a breakout from $111,000, then I would expect the price to actually continue to go to the upside. Right now, Bitcoin is in a decision area, so I would be a little bit worried here. But at the same time, looking at, for example, Ethereum is starting to look extremely interesting. So historically, this looks a little bit messy, but let me explain what's going on. Looking at Ethereum price here, you can see this long-term trend line here. It's got respected multiple times until finally in 2025 it broke to the downside here. This is very similar what we saw before here basically in 2021. Ethereum was trading above the trend line for many weeks, months, and then finally it broke to the downside. Then we had this bearish trend line here, and we got a breakout from it. And then that had another short-term trend line that was respected. Let me show that on the daily view here. So it's a little bit, it's not the best trend line ever, but you can see that now it's much better. So this was the trend line here, and then it got broken to the downside. And after it got broken to the downside, we had a little bit downside on Ethereum price, and then the big move happened, which was a move of 170% to the upside. So right now, Ethereum is basically down here right now. So if this same thing basically plays out again, then Ethereum could trade, maybe it can go to $2,100 if Bitcoin goes to that 91K still, and then we can finally have that big move to the upside if that similar thing happens. So me, even though I see this small term downside here on Bitcoin and Ethereum, I'm still on the long side of crypto. I see the potential, I see the adoption, I see the debasement of currencies over at Europe. I see the debasement of currency in USA. I see the debasement of currency in the BRICS countries as well. So eventually, Bitcoin as a neutral money that cannot be inflated, it will have to go to the upside. So, so at the moment, I don't really like to trade this short-term move here because I don't know which way it will go. But if it comes down here, this will be the area where I want to make big bets once again. So that's my current idea for the crypto markets. I hope you got value out of it. I know this was a little bit longer video, and I'm sorry for that, but I hope you got the points through. Now, today's sponsor, I don't actually have a sponsor today, but I just want to remind you guys that if you want to have a free trading bot on almost any exchange on the planet, check out my review for 3commas.io. This has had 14,000 views so far, and the like to dislike ratio is pretty good. So you will most likely like this video here. So check out, I will link this in the pinned comment down below if you haven't seen it yet. And there's also a follow-up video that I made basically explaining their new backtesting tool as well. So watch out that video as well if you like to see those. Thanks for watching. I will see you on the next video, and bye bye.